Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am all about the absolutely gorgeous Lights of Aurora suite from the Stampin' Up! 2025 September-December mini catalog. Now, this is a suite that, again, I looked at it and I thought, I already have some landscape dies. The paper's pretty, but I don't really know what I would do with it. And I almost bypassed it. Well, then, of course, my team was doing an event and I needed to create display boards for all the suites. So I ended up buying all of the product suites in the mini to create my display boards. And oh my goodness, once I started playing with this suite, I couldn't stop. So I'm going to show you 3 easy fun folds today that will allow you to really showcase primarily the gorgeous designer series paper, but also the fantastic landscape die cuts that you can create. So I'm going to show you the suite. We're going to make 3 fun folds together. I've got more projects to share with you at the end. I do want to say I'm hoping my Wi-Fi is back to normal. I know last week was really frustrating. I was beyond frustrated with the fact that it dropped out completely. I'm going to hope and pray that things are going smoothly. I restarted the router today. I've done all kinds of speed checks. It's telling me I'm running at 250 some odd % of my plan. So we'll see. We're going to cross our fingers and hope. All right. So if you are joining me, let me know either whether you're watching live or you're catching the replay. Just give me a hello. Let me know where you're watching from. And it's always nice for me to see who's watching and from where. So let me jump to my desk view here. I'm going to show you the products in the suite. Oh, and look at that. It's my phone. As soon as I add my phone, it goes wonky. I'm going to take my phone off for a minute. Let's go back to here. There we go. It's okay on me. As soon as I switch to my phone, it seems to be a problem. I am going to, well, we're going to try this again. All right. See, it's pixelated and kind of laggy. We're going to just hope and pray that this works. Charlie, sometimes I have Colleen McDougall is from PEI. So we'll see if Colleen joins us today. She may be catching on the replay. But yes, it's exciting to see people popping up from all over. All right, so let me show you the products in the suite. Oh, it is Colleen from PEI. There she is. All right, so we have the bundle, the Light and Wonder bundle. Beautiful stamp set with all kinds of sort of DIY, build your own sentiments. So these beautiful scripty words that are great for fussy cutting, and then all kinds of sort of block sentiments that you can mix and match to create different verses. And then of course we have these fantastic landscape dies. We've got the large trees sort of for the foreground. We've got the smaller trees for the background. These funky ones that nobody really knows what to do with, I will show you. We've got some mountains and then we've got some clouds. So just a great bundle, lots of fun to play with. But really the star of the show is the beautiful designer series paper. So you get 6 sheets of 8 different patterns in this pack. So we have these gorgeous sort of northern lights done with pastels, absolutely fabulous patterns. There we go. And then on the back side, we have more like sort of pastel washes that are really great for pairing with these gorgeous patterns. So you're going to see me using the back sides of some of these patterns as well as the front. Okay, so that is the paper. And then we have some beautiful accessories as well. We've got this gorgeous balmy blue sheer ribbon, ties like a dream, makes beautiful little bows here. I'll just tie one up real quick for you. There we go. Just a really pretty ribbon, very soft and delicate. And then we have these fantastic embellishments. They look kind of like they're glowing from within. These are the frosted iridescent dots, and they're absolutely gorgeous. You're going to see me using those. Deb says it's blurry on Facebook. Okay, Louise says having a hard time. It's unstable. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's like as soon as 5 o'clock hits, suddenly everything goes out the window. Because I was checking it. I've been checking it all day, to be honest, because I was so frustrated last week. So we're just gonna hope that things are gonna improve and away we go. So the first project we're going to make today is this one. This is a super easy Scenic Z fold card, intended to use as much of that pretty paper as possible. Very, very simple fun fold. So let me show you how to put that one together. So we start with a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Azure Afternoon cardstock. And then it is scored at 1 7/8 and 4 1/4. So not quite evenly spaced segments for our Z fold here. So 1 7/8 and 4 1/4. Again, these measurements are all in the video description. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold, first of all, in half, just as though this were a regular card base. So that's on that 4 1/4 inch score line. And then I'm going to fold back to make that Z on the 1 7/8. So you can see I get that Z shape. Okay. All right. Mia, I just got a new phone. It's an iPhone 16. It's a brand new phone. So I don't think it's the phone. There's something up with, I don't know, 5 o'clock in this town is, I don't know. The Wi-Fi goes wonky. All right, so I have a piece of that beautiful Lights of Aurora DSP, and I've cut it. It's 6 inches wide, but I've cut it to 5 1/4 inches. So I've cut a little bit off the bottom. Okay, we're going to work with it on here, and then we're going to cut it into segments, and I'll show you why. So I have here a 6-inch piece of white cardstock that I have cut using that sort of soft edge die cut. And we're going to stamp our sentiment on this. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to start by stamping light, and I'm going to stamp this towards the left side. So I'm stamping light in Azure Afternoon ink, just like that. And then we are going to stamp Wishing You a Year of in Memento Black. Move it a little closer so I can see what I'm doing here. There we go. All right. Now that I've got that stamped, we are going to go ahead and assemble everything on this large piece of DSP. So I have my trees that I've die cut just from some black cardstock. I'm probably not going to need all of this length, so I'm going to just kind of chop off a little bit of it. And it is going to get adhered to that left side of my DSP. Okay, and I don't want to cover up too much of the beautiful DSP in behind it. So I'm going to put that fairly low. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add some glue, just some seal, to the back of my white panel here. And we're going to, I should probably put some all the way across because it is going to get glued all the way across. And I'm going to line up the bottom of the white panel with the bottom of my DSP and just stick everything down. Now these are, I'm going to add a little extra glue. I'm just going to flip it over and just add a few little dibs and dabs of liquid glue to the back of this. I could have used adhesive sheets, but there is enough real estate on this die cut image that I don't really need the adhesive sheets on this one. Okay. Oh, hi, Arlene. Welcome. I'm glad you could join live. Charlie, I'm very jealous that you're going out east. I wish I were going with you. All right, so I'm going to bring in my little mini guillotine chopper here, and I'm going to make a couple of cuts. So this first cut, I'm going to cut at 3 1/2. 3 1/2 right there. Okay, and you'll notice that this is pretty much the same as the edge of my trees. Okay, that is going to be for my front panel. All right, then I'm going to turn this upside down, and I'm going to cut at 2 1/8. So 2 1/8. And what I'm left with is this little 3/8 inch strip here that's going to be used on the inside of our card. Okay. All right. I'm going to add a little more glue to the back of my snow here because I didn't quite get enough on there. And a little bit more here as well. Okay. Now it's just a matter of assembly. So I have here a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue this 2 1/8 inch panel to the left side of my white 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and put a little liquid glue on here and stick this on down. Just like that. Hi, Peggy. You found me on Facebook Live. I'm very glad. I'm going to now glue this panel inside my Z fold. I'm going to take this and grab my card base here, and this is going to get centered on that back panel. Just like that. Okay. Now, with this shut, I'm then going to align my front panel. I'm going to glue it to just this flap, this Z fold flap, making sure that it aligns with that white panel in behind it. I don't want to see any of that white panel peeking out from behind it. Okay. So the easiest way to do that is to flip it over, line it up, and then apply your glue where you know you want the glue to go. This is just a little trick to make sure you don't get glue in places you don't want it. I'm going to flip it back over and then line it up once again with that white panel in behind to make sure that I don't see any of it peeking out when it's closed. Okay. And then this last little strip is going to tuck right in here to finish our landscape. So I'm just going to take and put a little bit of liquid glue on the back here. And I'm just going to center that between my two larger panels, just lining up the top and bottom, making sure everything is nice and secure. And that is that. How easy is that fold? Super, super easy way to showcase any landscape DSP, but perfect for this beautiful Aurora Borealis. I'm going to add a couple of our frosted iridescent dots. Just going to use some of the white ones. So we'll just add a couple of these. 1, 2, and 3, and we're done. Okay, so really quick, easy, fun fold to showcase that beautiful DSP. Okay, all right, that's number 1. Let's tidy this up. We're going to move on to number 2. So number 2 is one I posted, I think, yesterday. This is another Z fold, but this one has an extra little secret. So it's, again, different sort of spacing here, but then this one also flips open. So you can write your greeting inside and have a nice clean card standing on your desk. Okay, so let me show you how to put this one together. All right. Hi, Catherine. Welcome. All right. So we're going to start once again with a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of, this time, Blackberry Bliss cardstock. And this one I folded at 4 1/4, or not folded, scored at 4 1/4 and 2 1/8. So this is an even, these are even segments, unlike the last card. Okay. So just like last time, I'm going to fold in half along my score line and then fold back to create my Z folds. Okay, now the secret to getting a Z fold that lies flat is really, really burnishing well. Okay, so there we go. There's our Z. Okay. All right, now we're going to, again, work on the full width of the DSP. Now, this isn't actually the full width. I should clarify. So this piece is cut to 4 3/4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so I've cut a strip off here and a little bit off the bottom. But once again, we're going to work on this width to assemble our landscape and then cut it into segments. It's just much easier to do it that way than to try and line everything up on these narrow strips. All right, so I have here some trees. These are just die cut from Blackberry Bliss cardstock. And then I have this weird one. So this is this weird die that nobody really knows what to do with. it creates a little bit of perspective. So if I glue this onto my trees, you see how it kind of creates a tree line and some snow. I think it's one of the coolest dies ever. You can also actually tuck this in behind as well if you want to get a slightly different look. So lots of possibilities with this nifty little die. I love it. So we're going to go ahead and again glue our white snow to our trees. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue along the bottom here. We're going to secure this once we put it onto the card, but this is just to kind of get things lined up and assembled initially, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to adhere it to our DSP. So again, this is 4 3/4 inches wide. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this on flush with that bottom edge. Okay, I did put adhesive sheets on these little trees because there is not a lot of real estate for glue on these guys. So I'm just going to peel off my backing with the assistance of my Take Your Pick tool. Oh, they're your favorite dies as well. Yes, Catherine, you can do so many neat things with them. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue here just to the bottom of my white piece. And then again, I'm going to just line this up with that bottom edge. Isn't that pretty? Just like that. Oh, so gorgeous. All right. Now we're going to chop this. So again, these were even segments, right? So these were 2 1/8. So I'm going to cut these into 1 7/8 inch segments. Now I'm going to bring in my trimmer just because it can be a little bit tricky to cut through all of these layers with my little guillotine. So I'm lining it up at 1 7/8. Okay, I'm going to cut all the way up. Okay, and then I'm going to cut another one that is 1 7/8. And again, I'm going to start from the bottom. I find it easier to start from the thicker layer and work to the thin rather than the other way around. So again, I'm going slow. I want to make sure I get through all of those layers. And there we go. Okay, so I have all my strips. Now we're going to assemble. So I'm going to start with this outermost flap here. We're just going to line that up and glue it down. So a little bit of glue. And I'm going to open this up just so that I can get them aligned nicely. There we go. Make sure that's straight. And then our next one is going to tuck in here. Just like that. Again, just taking care to line up your top and bottom edges. Okay, now before we glue this, we have to create our little flap here. So to do that, I have a piece of white cardstock. This is 4 by 10.5, and I bent the end of it. We'll put that on the back. And I've scored it at 5 1/4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold along my score line. Okay, keep in mind that this little strip is going to get glued to this left edge of the folded panel. But before I do that, I want to add a little bit of ink blending and some spatter just to soften down that white so it's not quite so stark. So I'm going to bring in my blending brush and some Blackberry Bliss ink. And we're going to do just a little bit of blending around that right side here. And you do not need a lot of this ink to get a really nice effect. It is quite saturated ink, so you don't need to do a lot of work to get a nice look. Okay, I'm leaving that part alone because I'm going to be gluing my strip there. Okay, then we're going to add a little bit of texture with some spatters. So there are lots of ways to get spatters, but I'm going to show you one of my favorite ways. I've got my dark Blackberry Bliss Stampin' Blends, and I've got my bone folder. And this is the easiest way to create spatters. I'm going to just lay this down on my desk, and I'm just going to take and tap, and I apologize if this is irritating. I'm just tapping my Stampin' blends on against my bone folder. Can you see that spatter? Isn't that an easy way to get a spatter effect? So easy. Now I'm going to do the same on my little strip here. I want to get a little bit of a spatter on my snow. And I'm actually going to do these guys as well. I meant to do that before I glued them down, but that's okay. So it's just a tap and you get all kinds of spatter. I got lots on my grid paper as well. And this way you're not damaging your tip of your Stampin' blends. Okay, you're just tapping it against a hard surface. You could, I suppose, do it against your finger, but the bone folder works really, really well. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue our strip onto our flap here. So we'll just get a little bit of glue going. And that is going to get glued right along that left edge. And I actually find it easier to glue when it's closed because I can line it up really well. There we go. And then that is going to get glued to that large back panel. Again, a little bit of liquid glue. Hi, Peggy. I have run every possible check that Roger's told me to run, and everything is working optimally. It was working fantastically well until I went live at 5 o'clock. There's something that happens at 5 o'clock to the Wi-Fi in this neighborhood. I'm not sure what it is. Rogers insists that it's not them. So I don't know. Anyway, so that is essentially our card foundation. We're going to work on our sentiment here. So I've got a label. This is cut using the Nested Essentials dies. And I'm going to stamp Magic in Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to stamp it towards the bottom. Just like that. And then we are going to add Embrace the using some Memento Black. And that's going to get centered on my label here, hopefully straight. And then I'm actually going to do a little bit of spatter on here. I didn't do it on my sample, but I just want to kind of tie it in a little bit with the other white surfaces on the card. So again, I'm just going to tap, 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 get a little spatter, a little pixie dust going. And then I'm also going to come in with my Wink of Stella. So my Wink of Stella is I'm going to brush them on to my trees so that they look sparkly and magical. You won't be able to see this shimmer on the camera. It never seems to pick it up. You'll have to take my word for it. And then I'm also going to do a little bit of spatter with the Wink of Stella. Now I like to get it going. There we go. And then we're just going to spatter. With a little bit of wink. All right. Now, we're not quite done with our sentiment here. We are going to, I'm going to trim my cute little bow off my ribbon here. We're going to add a bit of ribbon to the back of our label. So I'm going to take and add, my seal is empty. I've got to back up here. I'm going to take and add some seal to the back of my label. And then I'm just going to take my ribbon and I'm going to kind of create a zigzag. So I'm just adhering it to the seal, creating kind of the look of an M on the back of my label here. Can you see that? So it's like an M. Okay. And then actually, you know what? I'm going to do one more. We're going to have it be an M with an extra hump. Just because I want my tail to go in the opposite direction from where I started. So it's going to come back down this way. Yeah, I like that. All right, so we're going to trim at an angle. And then we're going to trim this one at an angle. Just like that. And then that is going to get adhered just to this front left panel. Okay, I'm going to line up the point on my label with the fold. In fact, it's easier if I close this. And we're going to line that up. So I'm going to pop up this end, so this left side. I'm going to add some dimensionals. So we'll go 1 and 2, 3, and 4. That's just to make sure that this is nice and secure and my ribbon doesn't get caught. Come here, you. And then we're going to go ahead and adhere that. Just like that. Isn't that pretty? And then again, we'll add some of our little frosted iridescent dots. I think we'll do pink this time. So we'll put one here. And then I actually put a couple on this panel here because when it's open, you're going to see those little guys. We'll put one down here maybe. There we go. Okay, now on the inside of my sample, I did stamp another sentiment and added another little scrap strip of the DSP. Okay, all right, so that is number 2. We're fun folding. It's a fun fold frenzy today. Lots of fun folds. All right, last one. Still a pretty easy. All of these fun folds are quite easy, but a great way to, yes, Mia, I actually did that. I was thinking that as I was showing you, I did do that on my, oh, not on this one, on my sample. Can you see that? I did that there. So that is an option to add. If you want to add a blank die cut to the back of that, you will get, and then you won't see the ribbon. Yep. Okay. So our last card is this one. It is a vertical easel card. So it stands up like this. And you get sort of this panoramic view of the beautiful DSP and the landscape. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this one. So once again, I'm starting with a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of, this time, Night of Navy cardstock. And it's the same scoring, 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. So isn't it amazing how many different looks you can get with a basic Z or easel card? Okay, so this one, instead of folding this back this way, I'm going to fold it inwards as well. Okay, so we end up with mountain, okay, instead of a Z. All right, so that is our base, our card base. I'm going to set that aside for a minute. And we're going to bring in our DSP. Look at how pretty this DSP is. So pretty. So this is a 5 1/4. No, I lied. 5 3/8 by 6 inches. And I have some trees that I've die cut from the back side of the DSP. So I had some extra strips of this, some 2-inch strips. So I cut it from the DSP so that it would kind of blend, and it's a little bit lighter weight. So when you're layering, it's a bit lighter than layering with cardstock. Okay, so I cut my trees. And then I have just a 1/2 inch strip. This is just some scrap that I had, a 1/2 inch by, I think this is an 11-inch strip of white cardstock. And I'm just going to take, I'm not going to use my die. I'm just going to take my scissors and kind of trim it into a snowdrift. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of a wavy line here. I'm not really worrying too much about getting it perfectly perfect. And then that is going to get glued right along the bottom edge of my trees. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run some seal along that strip I just cut. And then we're going to run this along that bottom edge, line it all up. Okay, and then again, I'm going to trim off this excess. So I really only needed a 6-inch piece, but this is just what I had laying around. All right, so that now is going to get glued to that bottom edge of our DSP. Okay, look at the beautiful contrast that we get with the trees. Okay, so I have adhesive strips, or adhesive sheets, I should say, on the back of my trees once again. So this is going to be quick and easy glue, and I'm going to peel my backing off. Maybe it'll be quick and easy if the backing decides to come off. There we go. You can see I used the DSP in the background. And then we're going to go ahead and glue that flush along the bottom edge of our DSP once again. Okay. And again, that's just going to make it easy to cut into our segments. Now, the easy thing about this is the measurements are the same. So all of these panels are 2 inches. So super easy. I'm going to come back with my trimmer. And I'm going to cut 3 2-inch strips here. So line it up at that 2-inch mark. Again, starting with the thicker, working to the thin, or the single layer, I should say. And then again, another 2-inch strip. Okay. So easy. All right. Oh, Namiji's on a cruise on her way to Greece. How lovely. Very jealous. Very, very jealous. All right. So we have our panels now. They are going to get adhered to the front of our card. Is that the right one? Yes, it is. So here are our front 2. But before we do, we're going to add these little flaps to allow our label to pop out. Okay. So I have here, these are 3/4 by 2.5-inch strips. Doesn't really matter. You don't have to fold them or score them or anything. I'm just going to fold them in half. No one is going to see these. So we've got 1 and we've got 2. Just like that. And then these are going to get glued to our 2 front panels. So I'm going to set my card base aside for a moment. I'm going to glue this on. You can decide how high or low you want your label to go. I'm going to glue it a little bit towards the top. So I've kind of got it lined up where I want it. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to open that little flap and just add some seal and secure that. Okay, so this side, the front side is not glued down, the back side is. Okay, then I'm going to bring in my right flap and I'm going to do the same thing. Now, what I want to do is line those flaps up and then slide my little tab so that they're pretty much opposite. Okay, and again, I'm going to flip this one over. I'm going to add some seal and secure it. Okay, so now I have my 2 little pop-out tabs. Now I can go ahead and glue these onto my card base. So I'm just going to open this up. We're going to glue these just like that. So a little bit of glue. We'll pop that on. Just like that. And then our next one. And again, I'm just paying attention to the top and bottom edges and my little flaps there. I'm more worried about the top and bottom edges than I am my flaps because they don't have to align perfectly. Okay. And then the last one is going to get glued to the inside of our card along the right edge. Now, it's important that we pop this one up because we need something to catch our easel. So I'm going to take and add some dimensionals to the back of this last strip here. We'll get rid of our backing. Thanks, Charlie. I'm glad you like it. All right. I think I've got all my backings. And then I'm going to actually put my card base here because I'm terrible at seeing white against white. So I always like to put something dark in behind it so I can see that this is going to line up. So I'm going to adhere this flush with that left edge. I know it looks like the right because I've got it upside down. That's just so I can see what I'm doing. I'll flip it around. Okay. And then that is going to get glued inside my card, just like that. So we'll add some glue. Oh, April, just hang on. I have something to show you. At the end, I have one that is not a snowy night. It is actually a summer mountains or lake scene. So stay tuned. Yes, you can use these dies for all kinds of things. All right, so there is our easel. Okay, now we just need to work on our label. So let's set that aside. I have a label. These are cut using the traditional labels dies. And I'm going to stamp light in Gorgeous Grape. Gorgeous Grape is one of the colors. I don't use Gorgeous Grape very often at all, but it is a beautiful purple. So we're going to start with light. So we'll start with that. I'm going to put it fairly low because I still need room for Wishing You a Year of. And then I'm going to stamp that in Night of Navy. Oh, I'm going to change it to May Your Day Be Filled With. Yeah, I made that decision because it was the same sentiment as the first card, so I wanted to change it up. So we'll do May Your Day Be Filled With Light. There we go. And we're going to add a little bit of navy spatter this time. So I'm going to come in again with my Stampin' Blend and do a little tap, 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 just a little bit on my label. And I'm going to add a little bit along that bottom edge of my snowy scene here as well. And we'll do a little bit on the inside as well. Just a little texture. All right, let's go ahead and add our label. Before we do, we're going to add some ribbon to the back of it. Now, this time, instead of gluing the ribbon to my label, I actually glued it to these little tabs. So what I'm going to do is add some seal to my little tabs here. And then again, I'm going to come in with my ribbon. And I'm going to go at a little bit of an angle. I want to make sure I come up high because this is a fairly wide label. So I want to make sure I get some good height on my little loops here. And then bring that across. And again, we'll trim at an angle. See if we can tidy that up a little bit. There we go. And then this is going to go on with some dimensionals. So again, I'm going to put my dimensionals on my little tabs. So I'm going to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get rid of my backings. And then we're just going to pop that on, centered on the front of our card, hopefully straight-ish. That works, except I'm not seeing my loop down below. Let's pull that up, and we're going to make our loop a little longer. Oh, took some dimensionals with me. That's okay. We're just going to extend this a little bit. See if that does it. Yes, that's going to be better. All right, now the trick is to hit those dimensionals on my tab. We're just going to cross our fingers and hope. Did we do it? Oh, we did. Look at that. All right, so there we go. There is our vertical easel card. Isn't that easy? Let's add our bling. We'll go with some purple this time. So 1 and 2 and 3 and done. Isn't that an easy one? So easy. All right, let me show you. I'm going to bring back all 3 of the cards we made today, and then I'm going to show you some more. Because like I said, I just had so much fun creating with this suite. So there are our 3 for today. And then here are some more ideas. So this is just a simple card. I did a little bit of a spotlight there by popping up the focal image there in the middle. This was a swap card I received that I absolutely love. I love the use of the Soft Waves embossing folder in the background. So gorgeous. This is one I made on my launch party using all of those landscape dies. Here's a really simple one. I love this pattern. It looks like, I don't know, like the genie's bottle coming or Pandora's box being opened. And then here you go. I can't remember who it was that was wanting to see a springtime, but here you go. A springtime lakeside scene. I used some of the Everyday Skies and DSP on that one. Here is a faux step card using, again, that beautiful DSP. I'm running out of room here. And then this is one that was actually from our team event designed by Jennifer Kirk. So there we go. Done and done. And I apologize, it is blurry. I can see that on my monitor here. It's a good thing we're done. I'm going to stop and I'm going to call Rogers back and tell them that it is not working optimally, even though the tests all say that it is. All right, everybody, thank you for sticking with me. Again, I apologize yet again for the tech issues. I am trying my best to get this worked out. I would like to say hopefully by next week, but I have very little faith in Rogers these days. I'm going to come back so I can say a proper goodbye. Thank you for hanging with me. I hope you enjoy these projects. Do check out this suite. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I will see you next week, hopefully with better Wi-Fi. Please, Rogers, for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Okay? Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.